Hey YouTube, WizKid Gaming coming back at you. Got another episode for you guys tonight. Tonight I'm gonna take a look at my Magica Templar healer that I use in the Elder Scrolls Online. So I use a Warden healer probably about 80% of the time, and then the other 20% of the time I like to switch it up and go with a Templar healer. They're both necessary healers for vet trials. They both have their strengths and weaknesses. They both have their place in the Elder Scrolls Online. So this video is going to focus on the gear that my Magic Templar uses and the skills that he uses. So we'll dive into it here. Alright, on the front bar, I have Breath of Life. This is like the, oh no, everyone's dying ability, because it heals for quite a bit, pretty easily. Just pop it a couple times and usually the group's good to go. Next up, I have Radiating Regeneration. This is a great ability. It heals 3 people in a 360 degree around you and heals for a lot over 10 seconds. It's 23,000 and I'm sitting here unbuffed. It's pretty solid. Next up, Combat Prayer. It's a must for all healers. Like I said before, what makes it so good is the 5% damage done to all your allies, plus it gives everyone some resistances. Last up, for the primary skills, Illustrious Healing. This is your AoE heal. You throw it down the ground, let it get for 12 seconds, then reapply. Lastly, front bar Ultimate is Replenishing Barrier. I very rarely use Replenishing Barrier. It shouldn't be used. It's only used on if everyone's dying, you gotta throw something up to keep everyone alive. Otherwise, the group wipes. I'll throw it up. Otherwise, pop into my back bar, which out the ultimate on the back bar. I use Aggressive Warhorn. As a healer, this is the ability that you should be using, the ultimate you should be using all the time. Try to use it as much as possible. Next up, Elemental Drain. It's a must for a healer. Keep it up at all times. Lasts 23 seconds, plus gives a little bit of magic steal. Pretty awesome. Alright, next up, Power of Light. I use this. Number one, it afflicts the target with a minor breach, reducing their physical insp resistance by 2,974 for 9 seconds. Secondly, it costs stamina, so it's basically a free cost as a magic user, because you know what it's your stamina abilities. It's really negligible. And the main reason why it's slotted to be used is it procs Illuminate. And what Illuminate says is when you cast a Dawn's Wrath ability, grants you minor sorcery to you and your group for 28 seconds, increasing your spell damage by 10%. This is huge. There aren't very many sources of minor sorcery in the game. This is one of them, so that's why I use Power of Light. You can use the other morph as well. I don't remember what it's called. It's got something to do with light. It's Purifying Light, excuse me. It will also proc the Illuminate. It costs Magicka, so you know it's competing with your other magical abilities that you use, and it does have a small heal to it. It's not much of anything. In the long run, it's really just a negligible heal, but it's another move that you can use. If you've got Templars in your group, you don't need to worry about proccing Illuminate, because those, whether they're stamina or Magicka, will almost certainly be proccing Illuminate for the group. So then you can swap this ability out for another skill. And I'll get into some of the flex skills that I, as a Templar, will use in a little bit. Moving on here. Next up, Extend Ritual. It's great ability. Just throw it on the ground, lasts 24 seconds, which, you know, in terms of combat, it's an eternity. Heals for a nice tick every 2 seconds. It it cleanses you when you cast it, and then your allies can pop Synergy Purify, which also cleanses them of all harmful effects, and it gives them a big heal just for popping it. Also a really good ability. Next up, Blockade of Storms. Now if I got another person in the group who's using Blockade of Storms already, then I'll sub this out for another ability as well. So this is just another flex spot that I have available to me. Lastly, Energy Orb. It's a must if you're a healer. Throw it out once every 10-12 seconds. As it floats by people, they're going to pop it, and it's going to give them health or stamina back, whichever one's higher. Plus, it gives them health for just popping it as well. Plus, it heals as it just kind of floats by everyone. So, super great ability. If you don't have it, get it. Alright, in terms of some flexibilities that I'll pick up, Luminous Shard, sometimes I'll toss this one out as well. Similar to the Orb ability, which is another thing that people can pop to get resources back. The nice thing about Shards that Orbs doesn't do is Shards will grant Magicka and Stamina to the person who pops the synergy, whereas the Orb will only give Stamina or Magicka. It doesn't give them both. Alright, moving down the list here. Another ability I'll pop sometimes is Channel Focus. If there's a high damage AoE fight going on where you're taking a lot of damage, sometimes it helps having additional resistances. Throwing this on the ground can really help you because it gives you all the resistances. Plus, you recover 240 magic every 1 second when you stay on the rune. I don't have an issue with sustain between potions and light weaving, so I don't need this. I'm not reliant upon this for resources, but it's just another flex skill that you can pop if need be. All right, moving down the list here. I picked up Healing Ward. I never use it. It's another flex skill you can pick up. Healing Ward's just not all that useful in the game. It has its hands down, especially in trials. In four-man combat, it's a little more effective because there's only 4 people. But when you got a group of 12 people, what's one ward doing? Not much. Another one, it's a must for all healers. Pick up Cleanse. Some of the fights you're going to be cleansing people as a healer. I passed up on one of them. Every once in a while, not very often, I will use Blood Altar. In this case, I morphed it to Sanguine Altar. Really, the tank should be running the Blood Altar. If they're not, one of the healers should run it. It's a decent ability. It allows everyone, when they're doing damage to the boss, to passively heal themselves through lifesteal. And then they can also pop the synergy, which is Blood Funnel, which heals them for 40% of their max health. It's a decent ability. It doesn't get used all that often. As you can see, it's only level 2, whereas everything else I think I'm using level 4. But just some flex skills to have available to you. So those are the skills I have on my bar. One other thing, and this is in this is in normal trials. If I'm in vet trials, I'm using spell power pots. If I'm in normal trials, I don't burn my expensive materials. Using normal trials are just an easy kickback, relax. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll slot Degeneration on my back bar for the major sorcery, just because I'm not going to be using my spell power pots when I'm in normal trials. So you can always throw that out up there as well. It's entirely up to you and what you want to do. Right, that is the skills I'm using. The gear I'm using on my Templar, it varies slightly from what my Warden uses. Once again, I use Spell Power Cure. I think Spell Power Cure is hands down better than Olorimi in the game. So that's what I use. I use the Resto Staff front bar, Destro Staff from the back bar, it's lightning. Monster sets, I have the Sentinel for the monster set. It's a great set. Doesn't do quite as much healing as Bogdan's does, but the nice thing about Sentinel is it restores 125 Magicka and Stamina to you and your allies within 5 meters every 1 second for 8 seconds. It's a great resource regeneration for your group. And then the other set I sometimes use is Yorvold's. Also, it's a good set. I will sometimes flip around. There's multiple sets to pick up. When I'm feeling like it, I'll throw on Worm Cult or Olrim. I have. If I'm not going to use Spell Power Cure, that's not that often. Hollow Fang. Again, I don't use Hollow Fang all that often. You can see this trait on it isn't transmuted yet. Hollow Fang is a good set to run. Don't get me wrong. It's just not a set that I run all that often. Another set I'll sometimes run with Zens is Martial Knowledge. See if I can find the Martial Knowledge Resto Staff I have around here. There you go, right there. Martial Knowledge is a great set. It's a little more tricky for beginning players, just because you got to learn to manage your stamina pool. But if you can effectively manage your stamina pool, then Martial Knowledge is a great set to use. In terms of monster sets, I have Earthcore as well. I don't use Earthcore often. It's really not necessary. It's great, like oh crap, everyone's dying. You know, if someone's dying, they're below 50% health. When it procs, it's basically guaranteed to full heal them and keep them alive for, 10 seconds. So it's a good set. Just doesn't get run often. I prefer run Sentinel and Bogdan over it. But those are the sets I use. Give you guys a quick glimpse of my character screen. As you guys can see, I'm a Breton. I prefer Breton. That's what all my healers run. And here's my stats. Alright, peace!